Now, what's the difference? That's the next question, and most of us in here probably tonight are like, so what's the difference between kids' arthritis and elderly arthritis? I've listed a few up there, but I'll just run through some of them. So when you're a child, it easily affects more than one joint, which means that when you get it when you're older, it might just be one knee, might just be an elbow, might just be one joint. But if you get it as a child, it can affect two joints at the same time, plus more, depending on how rapid it is. The swelling happens, so when a joint gets infected with arthritis, the body's like, oh, quick, better stop it. So let's swell up like a giant balloon because that's going to make things better. You normally get it between birth and 18 years. And now when I turned 18, the question was asked, so do I still have juvenile arthritis? And the answer is yes. So that leads on to our next one. That it affects you while growing. So when you're a child and you're a baby, you're still growing, right? You've got this tiny little baby in your arms and you're looking down into its eyes and you're like, nothing could ever hurt my little child. It's smiling and looking back at you, laughing and crying with it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And nothing could ever hurt this tiny little being in your arms. We can all imagine that with our own children or children to come or babies that we might have now. Nothing could hurt them, right? Nothing. Arthritis can, and that is how it affects a child while it's growing. When you get it in an elderly person or an older person that isn't a baby anymore, they've already grown. Most of you in this room, you've sort of already grown. You've got there, haven't you? You figured out that you're either going to be really tall or like in between or really small, sort of like me for the rest of your life. And so because you finish growing, the arthritis will affect you in a different way. So when you're a baby and you're growing and it gets into your joints, that could eat it away. You could get it inside of you, so in your organs, so that affects your organs growing. There's just so many things I could list that how it affects a child rather than an elderly person. It also, you get education and life skills lost. When you're an elderly person, you've got that. You've been through being 14 years old and having to keep up with the rest of the girls in the group and wearing the same fashion as them, and your arthritis, you're like, I can't wear high heels, but every other girl's wearing high heels, but I want to wear high heels, but the arthritis won't let me, and then that leads on to a whole lot of other issues that you have within you, as well as the arthritis issues as well. So that creates all those things that you can't do with your friends that you would like to do. And plus more, so many more complications that happen with medications, with doctors, with nurses, with family, with everything, because there's lack of awareness, because people don't know that this exists, that this is actually a thing. And that is why we're here. I'll keep saying that, but that is exactly why we are here tonight. So, now they want to know, well, my grandfather, he has osteoarthritis. What's the difference? Well, most children get rheumatoid arthritis. Osteoarthritis goes in there and attacks the joint, and it just wants to eat it, just wants to it's really, really hungry. But rheumatoid arthritis, it's not as vicious as that, but it is vicious in so many other ways. I've written a few up here. It starts at any time in life, but normally when you're younger. In osteo, it's when you're older. It comes on really, really quickly. You could be affected with one joint one day, and within 3 hours, the other one could be affected, or at the same time. Or your knees could be affected, and then suddenly your fingers, it's just wham, crazy like that. Osteoarthritis, it's just like, I'm just a snail, and I'm going to start here, and that's it. It's pretty much it. It'll just go slowly, as slow as it wants. Joints that are affected, it's more smaller and larger joints. Rather than in osteo, it's just one side of the body. So you normally get like your right knee, but on children with rheumatoid, it'll be both knees. It doesn't discriminate. You get pain, swollen, and stiffness. Don't get me started on that. You don't really get that when you've got osteo. It's more of a tender sort of thing that happens. And fatigue. Now, who in here who has arthritis, you get morning stiffness, right? Yeah, I see some nods. So annoying. But morning stiffness doesn't just last all morning. Mine's lasted 21 years. But in osteoarthritis, don't laugh at that, come on guys, I thought you loved me. In osteo, it'll like just be there for a little bit, or it might not even have it at all, and then it'll just go away. You know, it just does what it wants to do. So now we know the difference. Why don't we know more kids with arthritis? Well, I've sort of narrowed it down with all the talking to the different children and the families and the parents and listening to everything they have to say, down to these really 4 things that all comes back to the lack of awareness. Kids have it, but they don't know about it yet, meaning that it's either in an early stage or they've maybe had a sporting injury, and because of lack of awareness, they're like, oh, you just have a netball injury, it'll be fine, it'll go away. But it may never go away. They don't know the signs and symptoms, which is the same as have it but don't know about it yet. Meaning they might do a sporting injury, or they might fall off their bike or hit into the side of the table, as you said before, and it'll swell up. Some people are like, oh, it's just swollen for some weird reason, because they don't know that that leads to arthritis, and they may or may not do anything about it. And they might go many years with their child in so much pain and not even know that there is treatment and help for them to try and get rid of it. And they like to keep it a secret. Man, I know so many kids and adults, young adults my age, that like to keep it a secret, because who wants to be labelled as an old person when they're 8 years old? Anybody in here? No. That's why they keep it a secret, and that's why we don't know. And so that's why we're here, is be able to show those children that they can speak out and that we care about them and that we are here to help them and that there are people out there. So more about me giving you all these facts, and you're like, well, how does she know? Well, I'm a lifelong sufferer. I was diagnosed in 94, so I was 18 months old, and I used to bum shuffle. Yes. Proud, bum shuffler. So I used to bum shuffle around, and then I got to a certain age where you think your child should be able to walk, right? Well, I didn't, I couldn't, and my parents were like, come on, let's just do it. You know, you just do it, because you don't want your child to have something like arthritis, but they didn't know about arthritis at the time. So I walked around for a bit on my feet, and then went back bum shuffling again. I can't actually bum shuffle right now. Sorry, you don't get to view that spectacle, but that's what happened. Now, when you learn how to do something an easier, more effective, quicker way, you don't go back to the old way, right? No, you stay at doing the easier, more efficient, quicker way of doing things. And that's what happened. Why would your child go from bum shuffling to walking, back to bum shuffling, back to the old way of getting around? So my parents were like, well, yes, something has to be wrong. So we went down here to the local doctor, and they're like, well, we'll send you all the way to Stirling. So you would have come, if you come up from the city, you would have gone past Stirling along the freeway, all the way to Stirling. Then the Stirling people were like, oh, you need to go to North Adelaide. Oh, wow, that was a trip all the way to North Adelaide. I wish North Adelaide was this close. I could just walk there every day. And then they were like, well, we think your child might have arthritis. We're going to jab some needles into it and put it in some machines. Cool, awesome, exactly what an 18-month-old child wants to do. But you're going to have to go to Women's and Children's. Oh, okay, that's cool. Oh, the way to Women's and Children's. Okay, I know it's just down the road, but it's a long way from up here. So we had all of the needles and things that had to happen that a child and a baby shouldn't actually have to go through. And then they were like, oh, you have arthritis. And my parents were like, what? The elderly people only get arthritis. How could my little bundle of joy, who's so happy and smiling, get an old person's disease? And then we went back home again. Yep, once again, I wish the Women's and Children's Hospital was that close, because we had to go there every week for a really long time, for many, many years, to see the only rheumatologist that deals with children in this state. Now, there are nearly 8,000 kids in Australia who have juvenile arthritis. So You can work that out with the states and territories if you want, if you're good with maths, or I could just tell you the answer. Too many. There are too many children with this disease for one doctor to have to look after them. Way too many. So from there onwards, it just spread throughout my body slowly. And as I started growing up, I just thought it was normal. It was normal to go to the doctor. It was normal to have needles. It was normal to have x-rays. It was normal to be called an old person even though I was 5. You know, it's just normal to just drive to the hospital and be at the hospital and have friends as nurses and the hospital be your second home. So I don't really know what it's like to be normal. I don't know what it's like just to be able to put on my runners in the morning and go for a run. Or to be able to go to bed the night before and think, I'm going to do this the next day. Because I know that I'm probably only going to be able to get through maybe 1.5 of those things that I plan to do. Because fatigue sets in, pain sets in, just everything. Just the arthritis just controls and just takes over, and you have no control of stopping it or from keeping it from just go away, pretty much. Just go away. You don't know. So I just don't know what it's like. So I've told this imaginary person that is here tonight that I met at a party with my silly friend who went, have you got an hour? It hadn't been an hour at this stage, just so I let you know. I hadn't given him a full-on lecture with a PowerPoint presentation that I'd pulled out of my phone. But the guy's thinking in his head, wow, she's 21? The room lights up when she walks into it. She's the happiest person. She's talking to everybody here. She looks normal. She's healthy. She looks fit. She's what? Man, this person in front of him should be dead. You just meet somebody like that at a party where it's fun and exciting, and then bam. And so I can't really stop there. I have to keep talking to them because they want to know more about why I should be dead. Now, anybody in here takes Nurofen? Put your hand up if you take Nurofen. Raise it high, yeah. Have a look on the back of the Nurofen bottle or box next time you have a look at it. There's a thing on there because of me. Now, back when I was 6, and when you're 6, you're starting school, and it's exciting and it's nerve-wracking and everything like that. And I was on Nurofen about 3 times a day because it was the only anti-inflammatory medication that was available at the time. Yeah, I know, right? It's an anti-inflammatory and it's used on kids with arthritis. And I started to get this, really bad pain in my stomach. I've never had children, but it was pretty bad. But all you ladies keep saying it's worse. But anyway, so I had this really bad pain in my stomach and went down to the local GP, and he said, oh, she's just nervous. It's like, dude, I have operations all the time, and how am I nervous about going to primary school? I wasn't nervous. I had stomach ulcers, but they didn't know that. They just she'll be fine. Just keep taking the thing that's making you get more stomach ulcers. Just keep going, it'll go away. It didn't go away. So I went in a hospital and they're like, okay, we're going to stick a camera down you, and I won't go into too much detail here. But it was an endoscopy. If we all know what an endoscopy is, they stick a camera into you to see your insides. Wonderful experience. You get jelly and ice cream afterwards, so look forward to it. And so I went in and they brought me under, and I was just going to have an endoscopy and just have a few joints, put steroids in. But while I was under, they couldn't stick the thing down my throat. See how I didn't say what it was? The thing down my throat. Because my tonsils and adenoids were all swollen up. For some reason, for some arthritis reason, they were just all nicely big and yeah. And so they had to take them out. And they did everything else, and it was all fine and happy, and I was sleeping, and I was eating jelly and ice cream. I was lapping it up. And then I started to feel really sick. Now, who in here's had an operation and they feel sick afterwards? Yeah. I never felt like that. I've never ever felt really sick afterwards because they have a tablet for that. So next time you go in, if you're eligible, take the tablet. It works wonders. And so I was really feeling really sick. And next thing I could just taste blood down my throat. And next thing it just went everywhere. And they were like, oh, it's fine, she'll be fine, she'll be fine. And then it just kept going and going and going. They're like, okay, we really need to do something. So this little 6-year-old Sarah, who was probably about this big, yes, I was smaller than this, and I was lying there and they put the sides up on the bed and was like, okay, she needs to go in now, we need to take her in, I remember this so clearly. Anybody been to the Women's and Children's Hospital? The 5th floor? That is the worst floor ever. I do not like walking down there. Lovely view of the playground, that's about it. Going along there, I remember them saying, she's gonna die, quick. And all I could taste was blood just running down my throat and all in my mouth. This little 6-year-old me, I just remember it like it was yesterday, and it was horrible. It was ended up that they didn't stitch it up properly. I could have died twice that day. And so many other times that I just may not know about yet. A 6-year-old child going through all of that, as well as having an elderly person's disease. Yeah, that's pretty much shaped me to what I am now because of all this stuff and because of that as well. But your mind, I tell people, it's very strong, it's very powerful. You can make it do anything you believe that you can do. I had so much pain every day, but I just forget about it. You can forget about it. People procrastinate things. That is the most annoying thing when someone's like, oh, I can't do this. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can do this, you can. So many people say I won't. So many people say I can't. So many people just come up with so many stupid excuses not to do things. Man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to walk tomorrow after tonight, all this amazing setting up of all this, I don't even know. Tomorrow I could be like skipping around with the daisies. I don't know. So I have to do the best I can right now, today. And so when people say I can't or I won't, or they're like, oh, I'm going to do that next week. I'm like, just do it tomorrow. Why can't you do it tomorrow? Why can't you even do it today? So that's what I want you to do right now. I want you to think about something that you are procrastinating about.